My name is Greg King. I'm the president of the board of the Interfaith Coalition on Immigration, a group of folks from the community of many faiths and no particular faith who stand in between our immigrant neighbors and the deportation and detention systems. As a group of people who work towards immigrant justice, who are mostly non-impacted, mostly white, mostly Christian, serving the most impacted people who are mostly non-white and non-native English speakers, it was really important for us to take some time to think about how we do our work, what our work is centered in, and how we are actually working to bring about justice and not just to do charity. And in that process, we needed to take a really intentional look at white saviorism and anti-racism, which are really underpinning a lot of not just our immigration system, but a lot of the reasons why people do this work. We have struggled for years to bring on both leaders and volunteers who more closely reflect the populations we work with. And we know that a lot of that is due to our unconscious biases and culture that we set without really intentionally meaning to in an exclusive way. So in order to be more inclusive, we knew we had to be more intentional about being anti-racist, culturally humble, and again, centering our work in justice and not charity. And so we know that that work takes time and intent. And when we look for a partner to do that work, the anti-racism study dialogue circles were recommended to us as a leading organization in that field. And so we began a workshop series with them this spring, and we're really, really glad we did. It was really well structured. It started with a look internally about who we are as individuals. I think a lot of times when organizations want to get, quote, more diverse or more inclusive, what they want is a checklist of quick things that they can do. But we also know to shift culture and to make systemic change, we can't take the easy way out that way. And so ASDIC worked with us to structure a workshop that fit within our budget and our volunteer capacity, because our board members are all volunteer. But that was also designed to get to the issues of immigration and the issues of race in our immigration work. And that was really crucial for us and really well thought out. This transformation, again, started with personal and looking at where we are in the spectrum of being anti-racist. I think all of us think of ourselves as good people, but we don't always take the time or have the tools to really take a look at where we stand and how truly inclusive and welcoming we act in the world. In addition to that, ASDIC helped give us tools to interact with the outside world, since transformation begins within, but for our work to bring about the systemic change we want to see, we also have to be better about advocating for that kind of inclusive and welcoming system outside of ourselves. And so it was a really powerful workshop. We were able to bring in leaders from the past and new leaders together. It helped us have conversations. ASDIC led us through conversations we wouldn't have had otherwise, and some of which were difficult, but really made us think about our work, the way we position ourselves, how we do our work. And primarily, I think one of the main takeaways is how do we use our resources? Because if we are seeing our leaders and volunteers through the lens of privilege, then we don't think of the barriers that people have to face if they truly want to get involved in not just being clients of ICOM, but being leaders in ICOM. And so we really had a shift in how we look at using our resources to break down barriers. Historically, we had thought about financial funds as being just for helping people, so to speak, in crisis. But now we see that we also have to use those funds to lower barriers and bring leaders on from where they're at, to enable them to teach us how best to do the work. And I think that was a pretty radical shift, actually, in how we think about how we use the grants and donations that we collect. In keeping with the theme of this event, ASDIC, for such a time as this, I think there's a great urgency for doing anti-racism work right now. I'm frankly frightened by the backsliding we've seen politically, legislatively, in terms of anti-racism work. I feel like we are in a 2 steps forward, 1 step back moment as a society. The backlash after the murder of George Floyd caused us all to think more critically about racist systems and structures. And the narrative of criminality and dehumanization being levied towards our immigrant neighbors coming to us for help at this time are both very real. And I think every organization, particularly those who want to be on the front lines and do justice work, have to be intentional about looking at how they do that work and how they engage with those systems. And so it is a crucial moment, I think, in our society for deciding which way we're going to go for the next, I would say, decade. And ASDIC could play a crucial part in that.
Good day, everybody. My name is Ricky DeFoe. I'm a band member here on the Fond du Lac Reservation in Minnesota. I've been involved with ASDIC since about 2008 or 2010. It's been a little while. So I've been, my involvement with ASDIC is through friendships. And then I got to know Okogie and Marjorie Odo through those relationships. So I continue to do that. I think about Marjorie often in the work that we do. So in a good way, I do that. Why do I continue to support this work today? I think today it's more relevant in 2023 than ever. I think there's a break in the sort of the way we see racism and the trajectory that it is. I think because of austerity measures and the limited amounts of the way the white American was afforded privilege, and it's now because of the collapse of not only the society but capitalism. In a sense, it's the amount of privilege going around is lessened. So I think the white Americans actually are feeling some of that austerity measures and the more some pains that the Black, Indigenous people of color people have been feeling for a while. So I think it's very important in this day and age, 2023, again, to support and continue the work that ASDIC Anti-Racism Study Dialogue Circles has put forth in building community. I think ASDIC has impacted my life and the work that I do in various ways. It's given me the vocabulary. It's given me the education. It's given me the confidence to carry on conversations with others in the community through building relationships and also talking to our community and the Native American community about how racism affects our communities right here in Fond du Lac, and especially the internalized piece that we learn as we go along, and that we've all been raced and gendered in things in our society and socialized to accept these things that are becoming so-called looking at as normal. But it's really made a change in my life. It's lifted me, and it's brought about more of a compassionate way of understanding other folks in our communities and each other, and have a more empathetic way of looking at one another. Building community, I think, is what it's all about. And so that transformation has taken place with me. I used to think about things from in my mind, but then as things got along, and then more and more as we start to have that transformation from the head to the heart, I think it's a metamorphosis of sorts that takes place over the course of the long haul. It's like getting treated for a sickness over the course of 1, 2, 3 months of dialogue. I think that brings about that change that we need. A sick society needs treatment the same in the way as an individual needs treatment. So I think it's very important to be a part of that community, a community that has based on a curriculum that has been put forth. Um, Also, the education piece, the dialogue piece, where we build community with one another in circle. Um, and then the education piece is huge because we look at things that for me, it was seeing the things that were unseen and then making them visible and then dialoguing about them. So we're not coerced into a transformation, but we have a choice and it comes about in a real one of those epiphany moments that said, wow, it's really something to be a part of that and to have that transformation take place. It's really a wonderful experience. But then we have to look for a plan to what to do with that knowledge. Knowledge alone is not enough. We know that we have to have experience, change that knowledge into our experiences in our communities, in our families. And then it becomes our truth, our personal truth, our family truth, our community truth. So I think together, the individual, the family, the community, and the nation will transform. But the work continues. So it's beyond individuals. I think it's a movement, it's an understanding, and has a spirit to it, and I'm glad to be a part of that. So